Okay, B'Shem Hashem Na'aseh V'Natzliach. We're starting Masechta Shabbat, and it's Adar. We should be with Mazal Tov and be able to do the whole Masechta from beginning to end and record it also. Yetziot Shabbat Shtaim Shem Arba'ah. We're not allowed to transfer on Shabbat. I would highly recommend everybody buy the Feldheim Mishnayot Shabbat, 1-volume edition. It has a picture, and a picture says 1,000 words. It says that on Shabbat, it's prohibited to transfer, and it's two types of forbidden transfer, which is in essence 4. Ketzad, how does this play out? So it says, Yetziot HaShabbat Shtaim Shem Arba Bifnim, 2, which is 4 indoors, Ushtaim Shem Arba B'chutz, and 2, which is 4 outdoors. How does this play out? Ketzad Hani Omed B'chutz. So we have to know, the most important thing you have to know on Shabbat is, in order, there's 39 things that are considered work on Shabbat. And the first one that the Talmud wants to introduce us is the Isur of transferring from private domain to public domain. In order, it's very easy. If you understand this, you'll understand the whole Mishnah in a second. In order to be liable from Torah law, and chas v'shalom, if somebody does it on purpose to get the death penalty, right? Because somebody mechalalea mot yumat, you need 2 ingredients. You need, first of all, the first ingredient you need is to take it from a public domain, which is a machloket, the Rambam and Rashi. What is a public domain? The Rambam says anything that's approximately 30, any street that's around 30 feet wide is already considered what? Reshut HaRabim, if it's public use. Rashi holds no. Any street that 600,000 people, like they were in the desert, have to flow through the city. Now, the second ingredient is the same person both has to uproot it from the public or private domain and place it in the other opposite domain. It's called akira and hanacha. So you have that equation. If you both lift it from the private or public and put it in the opposite domain, that makes you what? Oh, yeah. Liable on Shabbat. So it says if the poor person, ha'ani omed b'chutz, if the person is standing in the public domain, ubal habayit bifnim, and the bal habayit is standing in his private home, in his residence, pashat ha'ani et yado lifnim, if the poor person extends his hand indoors, so he's doing akira, so he is coming into the jurisdiction and the domain of the home of the rich person. V'natan letoch yado shel bal habayit. So here the ani is both lifting his basket from the private and placing in the house, lifting from the public and putting in the house of the rich guy's hands, which is in his. So he's both doing what? Akira, lifting, uprooting, and so in this case, who's going to be chayiv? Obviously, the ani, because he lifted it from the private domain, public domain. The natan, the beginning of the 4th line, letoch yado shel bal habayit, he put in the hands, the basket into the hands of the rich person, which is in his private residence, which is reshut hayachid. Or shenatal mitocho ve'otzi ani chayav v'bal habayit patur. The second case is the opposite. That shenatal mitocho, like you see in the picture here so beautifully, in this case the ani lifts it and puts it in the hands of the bal habayit. In this case also, the basket is in the hands of the rich guy in his private house, so he lifts it takes it out of the hands of the rich guy and then places it in the public domain. So in these cases A and B, who's going to be liable? The poor person. Because what is he doing? Both akira and hanacha. Uprooting it and placing it down. And obviously the person is passive. The balabait, he's patur, he's exempt. He's really not doing any sin. Also, the Rambam brings a very important idea that anytime in the Gemara Shabbat it says patur aval asur, which means lechatchila just because something you're not going to get stoned to death doesn't mean that the rabbi's rabbinic law is mutar, is permitted. So there's a concept of doing the worst type of sin, which is chiyuv karet. If you do it by shogeg, you have to bring a korban. But there's another thing that you're playing with fire. You're not literally, but the rabbi said you still went against the rabbinic law. Now the Gemara will tell us on the next daf that there's only 3 exceptions. Always, whenever you see in the Talmud, in this Gemara, in this Masechta Shabbat Patur, means the person is exempt from being stoned or exempt from being a sin offering, but he has transgressed what? A rabbinical ordination, rabbinical halacha. Now, Pashat balabait yed yado lechutz ונתן לתוך ידו של אני או שנטל מתוכו והכניס בעל הבית חייב והני פטור. This case is exactly the opposite, and let me show you the picture. Here, the rich guy is both doing the action of uprooting and placing it from the private to the public or public to private. For example, here, he lifts the basket out of his private house and puts it in the hand
in public domain.
Public domain of the poor person. If the poor person eats it right there and there, he hasn't done any Torah, he hasn't committed any Torah sin. Rabbinically, he's doing something wrong. Next case is this case where, again, the balabait takes it out, the basket out of the hand of the poor person, so he's doing akira, and he brings it and places it where? In his private domain. So in this case, it's the opposite. The poor person is not liable, hasn't desecrated Shabbos, Shabbat, but who has desecrated it? The rich person. Balabait chayav v'hani patur. Pashat ha'ani et yado lifnim v'natal balabait mitocha. Now this is a case where both of them are exempt, because one does the akira, one does the hanacha. Remember we said in the beginning, for example, this is the case right here, gentlemen. This case, the poor person puts his hands inside the private house, Reshut HaYachid of the rich person. So he's doing the akira. He's bringing it from the private, from the public to the private, but he is not placing it on the floor of on the table of the. So one is doing. He's doing the hanacha. Who's doing the hanacha? The rich person. Who's doing the akira? The ani. So both of them are exempt. Or next case. In this case, the rich person, what does he do? או שנתן לתוכו והוציא שניהם פטורים. The rich guy uproots it, then puts it in the hand, and the hand of the guy is extended into the house of the rich guy's house. And then who places it down? Person in his basket, which is in the public domain. So who's doing the hanacha? The poor person. Who's doing the akira? The rich person. Shtehem piturim. Both of them are exempt because one person is not doing both of the parts of the thing, the uprooting and the placing. Next case. Pashat balabait et yado lachutz v'natal ha'ani mitocho o shenatan letocho v'echnis shneim peturim. Another case where both of them are exempt is, here you look in the picture. Again, the rich guy places his hands outside into the public domain, and here, so who uprooted? The rich guy. Who placed it in the basket? The poor person. So again, they're both exempt. Or the last but not least is here, where the poor person places his basket does the akira, and places it into the hands of the rich guy, and then the rich guy places it on the table in his house. So the rich guy is doing the placing, the hanacha. Again, both of them are exempt, but they, again, patur aval asur. They've done a rabbinic sin, but they're not liable to bring a korban from Torah law. Gemara says, Tnan hatam, Shavuot Shtayim Shem Arba. We know that, God forbid, if somebody wants to say a false sin, that he's, for saying an unnecessary oath, swearing, you have to bring what? A korban. So again, the same type of outline the Talmud gives. Shtayim Shem Arba. It says there are oaths are 2 types, which are in reality 4 types. Next page. Yediot hatum'ah Shtayim Shem Arba. Awareness of being tameh are the same thing. It's 2 types, which is in reality what? 4. Mar'ot negaim, appearance of sara'at, are Shtayim Shem Arba. Right? They use the same lingo. Are 2 types, but really in a sense, if you want to outline them, it's 4 types. Yetziot HaShabbat, Shtayim Shem Arba. Again, like we just said a second ago, Shabbat also, it's really 2, Akiran Hanacha, but which is really 4. Okay. Gemara asks a question like this: Ma'ishna hacha detani shtayim shem arba bifnim u'shtayim shem arba b'chutz. Why here we go into more detail? We give every case of both Reshut HaRabim and Reshut HaYachid of how you are liable and not liable. But over there in the Gemara Shavuot, it just says very short and sweet shtayim shem arba. It doesn't elaborate. Why over there it doesn't elaborate? The Gemara answers, toldot. Very simple, because over there is not. It's like you go to Lahavdil to university. Over there, it's coming to teach you the course of what? Oaths. Yeah. So it's not going to go into extreme depth of what exactly the cases are outlined. But here, since the whole course is about what? Shabbat. It tells you exactly, it delineates and spells out black and white what the exact cases, the 4 cases under the 2 are. So it tells you the subcategories also. It tells you the toldot. By the way, this is a very important thing to know about halachot Shabbat. We have 39. See, on Shabbat, if you take your couch from one side of your house, let's say you own a mansion like Donald Trump, and you lift the couch with your son and put it on the opposite 10,000 square foot, 50,000 square foot house. Have you desecrated Shabbat? No, because it's not under the 39 malachot. Right? Jogging on Shabbat, it was like the LA Marathon today. That's not considered necessarily you did work. But under these 39 things, carrying, lighting fire, separating the good from bad, there are also subcategories. Like here, it tells you the subcategories of what carrying is, the toldot. Hatam delavikar shabbatu avotani toldot lotani. There, since the main topic is Shavuot, swearing, it only tells you the main subjects, but it doesn't tell you the secondary cases. Gemara says, Avot maininhu, yetziot. What are the main types, primary cases? Taking out. Betziot treyhavin. And there's only 2 primary cases of taking out. So the Gemara then is bothered. How then can the Mishnah in Shavuot state that these cases are 2 that are 4? Gemara says, Vechitema mehem lechiyuv mehem lepitiur. Maybe liptur. You're going to say some cases you're liable, some cases you're not liable. Vahadumya de marot negaim tani. It's similar to the cases of the sarat, of the leprosy. Mahatam kula lechiyuva avhanimi nami kulam lechiyuva. Just like there, everything is you're liable, right? Every type of sara'at, leprosy, is going to make the person impure, and they're going to have to break down his house or burn his clothing or kick him out of the camp. So therefore, the original question returns, gentlemen. Why does the Tana here state two that are in reality four in regard to somebody standing in public domain, two that are in reality four in regard to somebody in the private domain, while in the Shavuot it just says two that are four in reality, and it doesn't elaborate more. So Gemara explains, Ela Amar Rav Papa, Hachadi Ikar Shabbat hu Tani Chiyuve Pture. Here we're taking a course on Masechta Shabbat, so it tells you everything that you're exempt and everything that you're liable. Hatam delav ikar Shabbatu, but over there that is not the course. The subject matter is about oaths. Therefore, it doesn't go chiyuva tani. It totally teaches you the cases that you're liable. Which cases are you liable? When you do both. One person is both doing the akira and the hanacha, peture lo tani. But if one person, Mr. A, the poor person, is doing the akira, and another person is doing the hanacha, or vice versa, those cases it doesn't go, because those cases you're exempt. Gemara says chiyuva maininhu yetziot. And which cases are you always liable? When you both lift it up and take it out. And how many are those? Yetziot tarten havin. There are only two cases, and not four cases. So the question is, we're back to square one. If there's only two cases that you're chayav, why does the Mishnah there say four? Where does four come from? Because at this point in our logic, we're saying we're only talking about the liabilities, and liability is only two cases. Gemara says, shtaim de hotzah, shtaim de achnasa. It's four, it is legitimately four, because two of bringing in and two of taking out. So 2 plus 2 is 4. Gemara says, Vaha yetziot ktani. Yetziot means only taking out, not bringing in. So your suggestion is not accurate. So Gemara says, Amar Rav Asher, Tana haknasa nami hotzai karile. Actually, yetziot could both mean bringing in and taking out. So there's two bringing in, two taking out, which are synonyms of one another, and then that's 4. Gemara says, what's the proof to this? Miditnan. Hamotzi mirishut chayav. One who brings from one domain to another domain is liable. Milo askinan dekamayel mirishut rabim l'shut arachid. Isn't it saying that you're taking out from a public to a private? V'karilei hotzaa, and it's still considered taking out. So bringing in is also the same thing as taking out, because you're bringing it in, always it's going from one place to another. So it depends what perspective you're looking at it. So the Gemara says, V'taimamai, why is that really accurate that Yetziyah, which is taking out, could also be called bringing in? Why? Gemara says, Kol akirat chefetz mimkomot ani hotzah karilei, because the logic to this, why they're synonymous to one another, is the Tana refers to any removal of an object from its place as what? Taking it out of its place. Even though you're really bringing it to a new place. But obviously it's leaving its original place. Amar Ravina matnita namideka. This is actually precisely accurate in the grammar of the Mishnah. Yetziot, because our Mishnah says Yetziot. And when you look at the delineated cases, the underlining cases become mefarshi achnasa la'alter. And it says taking out, but then the first case that it brings is bringing into the house of the rich guy. So shma mina, that's accurate. That yetziot, anytime it says yetziot, could also mean taking it out from the public and bringing it in private. Gemara gives another explanation. Rava Amar, Rashiut Ktani. He's talking about the different domains, the public and the private. So that's what it means in the Mishnah. There's 2 different domains in Shabbat, which causes 4 different cases of liability. Rashiut Shtaim, there's the public domain, Rashut HaRabim, and the private domain, Rashut HaYachid. That's what it means, Shtaim Shem Arba. Amar le Rav Matan Labaye, Hatim Nahave. But if you really want to go into all the cases, it's actually 8 cases. Actually, if you want to go in all the different cases of the poor person and rich person, Tartisari have it. There's actually 12 cases. If you even want to go deeper, there's actually 16 cases. So why does it only bring 8 of the cases down in our Mishnah? Amarle halokashia. This is no question. Bishlema bebaba dereisha patur mutar loktani. The answer is originally why the Mishnah did not count the exempted cases in the 4 cases of the first parts of the Mishnah is because the Mishnah did not teach acts for which one is both exempt from a chatat and which is permissible. Ela bebaba de seifa, the patur aval asur kasha. Okay, we'll continue this, God willing, later. Chazak Baruch, have a wonderful